Welcome to the Shower Epiphanies podcast, where we explore your hidden thoughts and desires, revealing your greatest drop the mic moments. Now, here's your host, Art Costello.
Welcome to the Shower Epiphanies podcast. Today, my guest is Jo Ann Gramlich, and she is a speech pathologist. How would you say, Jo Ann?
Speech pathologist, speech language pathologist.
Speech language pathologist.
It's a lot to say.
It is a lot to say for an old guy late in the day.
No.
But anyway, she is really simply spectacular. Her book is called Talk, Play, and Read With Me, Mommy. I read it this past couple days, and it just really lit me on fire because so much about how we live in this world is based on the language that we use. But Jo Ann goes deeper. She goes into how it starts in your childhood and how we can nourish it and grow it. And I want her to tell us her story, how she got into this. Speech pathology is going to kill me. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. And so I am from Buffalo, New York, and I've lived here all my life. Once I graduated from high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I worked downtown in the offices in Buffalo, New York, various offices. And the general theme was, where are you working now? Where are you working now? Because I could not connect to the scene at all. I was constantly job hopping and learning about myself as I was going. At the same time, my brothers and sisters were having children. So I was, developing relationships with them in a fun and loving way. And I realized, as far as maybe job number 6, number 7, that, wow, this is definitely not for me. I have got to figure out what I'm going to do. And I was getting frustrated. Of course, I like to work. I have a good work ethic, but I just couldn't connect. So as I was approaching my final job where I was at, I also was seeking out, decided with the experiences with my niece and nephews that, wow, I can really connect with them easy. And this is a lot of fun. And I liked the creative aspects of all the interactions. So, the sleepovers, taking them out and about, and then, different little, we'll call them field trips for them, all kinds of great experiences. And they can, tell me all about them too, because they haven't forgotten, because we did so much together. Of course, they're older now, but we have a lot of stories. So while that was going on, I decided to pursue college, but I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. So I did check out the classical teaching in the classroom, and I just didn't get a feel for it. It would be a lot of children at once, and I felt like maybe I wanted something a little more specialized. And at the same time, people were telling me about speech pathology, which I really didn't ever hear of it. So I decided to check out the catalogs at the schools. And lo and behold, it had a lot of diversification at the end of the rainbow, per se. Once you graduated, there were lots of different opportunities for your career, and it was very diversified. So I felt like it would allow me to connect with, the individually and small groups with these kids, and it would allow me to tap into their creative abilities also at the same time. So I decided to pursue speech language pathology. And let's see, so from there, I did go to college, and I went to Buffalo State College, locally here. And I finished it quickly, like in 3 years, because I knew I just really wanted to get out and get a job. And then I did my master's along the way while I was working my full-time job, doing my master's. And so that's where it all began. Once I graduated from college with the master's, I did do my master's project. We did the research on parent involvement. And of course, the parent involvement showed that, the more parent involvement, the more support the child was going to get, and he was going to advance his skills and be able to be dismissed from speech. So that myself and another friend were able to go to Boston to present our paper at the ASHA conference. And so that's where it all began as far as this parent involvement and my thoughts about, teaching and what have you with the children. And once I graduated, it was a lot of work, of course, and I finished, all the coursework, and all of a sudden, I thought to myself, wow, that's it, school's over, all this work, and I'm done, and this can't be, because I have to do more work. So I'm just the type that has to keep busy, and I like to be challenged and kind of self-taught. So lo and behold, this postcard comes in the mail, and it's this postcard that says the Children's Institute of Literature in Connecticut. Now, back at this time, we're talking the late 90s, there wasn't a lot of computer work going on just yet. So it was more of a correspondence course of writing fiction and nonfiction articles, and I would have to send the correspondence through the mail. So I went back and forth, and it kind of geared me to, I did enjoy doing the fiction work because I like the creativity of that, but I also enjoyed the nonfiction because I really like taking facts from different books and what have you and pulling it all together and creating articles that somebody could benefit from. So that's where the parenting articles, I had maybe half a dozen parenting articles I wrote. They were published locally in prominent magazines throughout the states. So after that, I was also working for the Buffalo Schools, and I also was working for ECMC, which I presently still do this. So the main theme with the little ones, the parents that I worked with after school, which I presently work with now, was how can I get my child to talk? And it just dawned on me thinking, I was going to try, I knew I was going to tackle a book project. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do at first. So I did tackle a book project. It was going to be theory. And I thought, as I was writing, I was like, wow, this is quite boring for me. I can't do it anymore. Boring. I needed an outlet that was going to be fun. And I thought, I need something that's going to help a parent. They don't have time to read, research, literature, etc. They want to dive in and do it because everybody's so busy. And it's the same with me. And I thought, well, something, quick and easy so they can understand what I'm doing with their children for the half hour after school that they could easily do in the home with their own children. So I decided, I did some research with the books, the activity books that were presently on the market. And I went to Barnes & Noble's and I looked and I thought, wow, these activity books are very heavy, 300 to 500 activities. And by the time you find that perfect one, Johnny's already gone because they're bumblebee modes at that point. Kids can't sit still. They want to ready, set, go. But they were so lengthy. So I decided, I came up with this concept that maybe I could find something that was less overwhelming, more compact, that the parent be able to take it wherever they go, in a diaper bag or, to the beach so they could stimulate their kids. There's so many times you see when, for example, you're at the doctor's office and, little Susie's getting yelled at because she can't sit still. And it's not her fault because she's not supposed to be able to sit still. They're at that age where they want to play and move and learn. So I thought, well, I'll create a book that was, again, something they could carry and something they could quickly glance at and say, well, this is the perfect activity for my child right here and now. So the majority of the activities within the book are set up that you could use or, engage your child during your daily routines. So now, of course, we have from birth to 5, the majority of learning takes place within the home during daily routines. So you have your playtime, story time, bath time, dress time, snack time, meal time. So the premise of the book is based on the learning opportunities during daily routines. I broke the book down into 3 chapters, infant, toddler, and preschool activities. So another benefit of it, it's almost like 3 books in one because, for example, 5 Little Monkeys is in the first chapter, which is I believe it's birth through 11 months, your infants. And everybody loves the 5 Little Monkeys finger play song. So it's an activity that you're not only doing hand gestures with your little infant at 7 months, but you could also expand on it to work with a toddler or preschooler by simply adding different objects. So I have these finger play puppets that I do with the little ones. You can add Barrel of Monkeys. Everybody remembers those. You could add color sheets. And then you could also add, there's a lot of games. I just got one for Christmas from one of the parents. It's called 5 Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed. So many different things. So you see, you can expand, you can modify to meet all the children's needs. And that's what the book's all about. You're going to work at the level of your child. So, and then it's set up like a recipe book where, again, ready, set, go. It simply tells you what you need, what daily routine you'll be able to, the objective and the goal, what daily routine this activity can be played. And then it also includes dialogue and quick and easy strategies for your child to use and learn language. And then also included in it, again, I mentioned strategies and techniques. There's strategies and techniques that allow your child to use and learn language, all throughout the day. And there's a whole list of them in the back of the book. That they're not overwhelming. They're very simple and, can be easily understood. And then the book also comes with a developmental milestone that allows parents to have an idea between that expanding period of birth to 5 years old, what's going on at the different levels. And again, it's just a guide because every child acquires language at a different rate. But a lot of these skills are going to occur. It just depends on when the child is able to master them. So because so many people are always saying to me, well, what is my child supposed to do at 2 years old? What is my child supposed to be doing at 3 years old? So now they can take a quick peek at the book and see the listing of different skills that they're supposed to acquire.
The need to have closure in any given situation is sheer human nature. And when it comes to romantic relationships, this desire skyrockets. Has your previously failed relationship left you in immense pain? It's not uncommon for people to shy away from a new relationship after their first one fails miserably. The fear of the unknown makes them hide in a shell to prevent any future heartbreak. Relatable? Despite wanting to love and be loved, you can't take the plunge if your mind and heart are still locked somewhere in the past. Maybe you aren't aware of the power of releasing the past, or perhaps you don't know how to do it. Art Costello in his online course teaches the art of moving on from bad places to happier, more stable ones. This course can change your life for good, helping you beat all kinds of negativity on the road to eternal bliss. Sign up now before the gloominess gets the better of you at expectationacademy.com.
That was one of the things that I really, really loved about the book, is that it was so practical. It is a real practical guide that is easily read and understandable, and absolutely with ease, you're able to implement all of the things that you say in there. And I thought back to raising my children years and years ago, and we could get into this a little bit later because I want to hear more about your thoughts on everything. But, it's changed in the world. The way that we communicate has changed so much over the last 20 years with computers and kids sitting in front of electronics instead of hearing parents read to them or do things. I mean, every time that I go to friend's house, I see the parents break out an iPad or a game board or something for their little toddlers to play with.
I know. I see it at homes too. My book also, I have to admit, my book also comes in the ebook format, but it's very fun. It's very colorful. It has sound effects, animation, and audio recording spots on it. But the point of it is that it's it's the same idea of the softcover book, but it's a backdrop. So people have an idea how to set up the activity, the same as the book, the softcover book, but the kids definitely gravitate towards it, which it's a good thing. It's very visually stimulating. But how am I trying to say? As far as the kids nowadays who go on these iPads and tablets, etc., computers, you really need to discipline them with the screen time, because these kids, they have a hard time disconnecting with them. They get very upset and frustrated if you take it away. So when that's happening, you need to realize that your child is getting exposed to that too often. And you need to set boundaries, maybe 20 minutes a day, maybe 15 minutes a day, depending how old your child is, because the natural interactions are definitely more valuable, I believe, than having your child just sitting in front of a TV or, like you said, the tablet, the iPad. Yeah, communicating, talking naturally is really going to be your best bet with a child.
Yeah, when I was in college, I worked at a mental health facility, and the doctor that I worked directly for his name was Dr. Stuart Brown, and his research for his MD and PhD and everything, his psychiatry licensing and all that, was around play. He's now the director of the National Institute of Play. But what he found in his research was that children who do not play and read and get down on the floor really, well, he was looking at mass murderers and serial killers, and we were interviewing those types of people. What the one common factor that they had in their life across the board was they did not play, and their parents did not play with them. So, when we're looking at some of the events that are going on in the world right now, and with the shootings at the schools and everything,
oh, awful.
I just wonder about, how much is it affected by the lack of the parent actually engaging with the child at a young age? Because we all know that a child's most formative years are from birth to 5 years old.
Correct.
Almost all their foundation is created in that area. And if we're sticking the electronic devices in front of kids and they're getting glued to them,
right,
and they're not getting the human interaction and the realistic playing with others, playing with your parents and getting down on the floor and reading. I mean, I have to say, I got down on my house floor with my kids and we read book after book after book. My granddaughter, her and I have read books from the time she's little. One of my most cherished moments with her is when she's got a book out and we had this giant schnauzer that weighed 155 pounds named Chloe. And Chloe's laying there and Tori was about 2.5. And she says, "Chloe, I read you. Chloe, I read you." And Chloe would look at the book and Tori would flip the pages over and read the words off of the pages.
Exactly. That's the fun part. I mean, so when you were talking, I was thinking, so I work with a lot of children in the Buffalo schools. Of course, they have delays, language delays, and I find that some of them are angry children. And like you mentioned, that natural bonding is so important to develop the self-esteem and self-confidence. And again, the language and the reading components are key predictors that come along with the interactions. So yeah, it's very important and very crucial to naturally engage with a child and to help them, enjoy the laughter and the fun. And because basically, like you said, play is the work of a child. They need to know how to play. They need to use their imagination. When they're, engaging with other children at these young ages, it allows them to build their social skills, attending skills, vocabulary skills, brain development, brain growth, so much that really allows them to be who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, one of my things that I am just going to do before the good Lord takes me home is I want to write a book for children to learn how to master their expectations, because all my research has been in the use of expectations for the betterment of mankind. And I believe that, just as you, is if we can teach children how to manage their expectations at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, their lives will really transform. And that's where you come in, because language plays so much of a part for kids to understand.
Right.
And expectations are not a complex entity.
Right.
They're very basic to every human being. And it's so simple, but yet it's so effective when we know how to manage our expectations.
Right.
When we learn that it's not the expectations of others that grow us, it's the core expectations that we have. So there's so many things to teach, but you cannot teach if you cannot speak.
Right. And what's enlightening about, working with children with communication delays or disorders is that what's really special, are working with a child just to see how they progress, how they end up, having a voice. It really boosts their self-esteem, like I said, self-confidence to be able to communicate. It's so important. So a lot of the kids come in very timid and shy and are afraid to talk. I mean, myself, and of course I work with other speech therapists or speech pathologists at school. And that's what our job is. We're trying to help these kids have, use their own voice and be confident in their own voice, which is so important, as opposed to, like you said, the screen time that just doesn't allow you to communicate when you're staring at a device, for hours and hours at end. You see the frustration of the children because they want to communicate. They can't. It's not only communicating, it's other skills that are affected also. Like I said, the social skills too. So.
Yeah, I mean, not only the social skills, but the actual learning skills.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we've all heard the stories about now you can go to a fast food restaurant, and if you give somebody a 20 and you hand them a quarter along with the 20 to make it all even, they can't figure it out because they didn't put it in the
right. Yeah, it is. There's so many, I mean, it taps into so many areas of the children's lives, and they need the skill base to go forward. Starting in kindergarten, they're expected to begin reading, communicating in more complex sentences, comprehending more advanced materials, stories, answering questions, understanding their spatial concepts and linguistic concepts. And it is expected by kindergarten just to have those basic skills. So therefore, if you don't have a good foundation with your language skills, that's where the kids are going to struggle. And like we said, they're going to be frustrated and they're going to act out because there's so many expectations for them to succeed. So
I'm going to shift the gears a little bit, but I love to come up with these odd questions.
Okay.
It's easy, but I'm interested in hearing your answer. Does your book, do you think, help the child more or the parent more?
Well, actually, it helps both more. So the child...
I was hoping you'd say that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. The child is acquiring the language skills through the engaging activities, but at the same time, the parent and the child are developing a special bond. So it's a win-win situation because that's what it's all about. These kids need to feel secure, confident, and bringing the parent or the caregiver together with the child. It's all about the bonding. It really is. And the language, I don't want to say that one is primary or secondary. They're both important. So that's why it's a win-win situation to get the kids communicating and then enjoying the comfort of their parents at the same time or caregivers.
Has anyone ever inspired you to discover a happier, healthier, and more fulfilled you? It is a magical experience, isn't it? Inspiration is indeed very powerful, yet it's often undermined. It can lift you from the ground to the sky in no time. Have you ever thought about returning the favor by inspiring the people around you? If you don't think you have it in you, we have good news for you. Art Costello's online course has everything you need to learn to supercharge yourself and shape your character into a powerful personality. Get ready to discover your strengths and unleash the creativity within. Don't believe it? Check it out yourself by signing up for this life-changing course at expectationacademy.com. That's expectationacademy.com.
You're right in my wheelhouse. I was hoping you were going to say that because when I read it, I thought this is so great for parents, but yet it's so great for the child too. And the benefits are so great. What are your top 5 tips?
Okay, for increasing their language skills?
Sure.
Okay, so, when they're, at that infant age, of course, you're stimulating their senses. So you want to make the good eye contact, smile, and make expressions with your baby. And then, of course, they're going to smile back. And then you can also take objects to, just about inches away from their eyes to make sure they have good eye gaze. And then, of course, they're listening for sound sources. So just little rattles, bells, soft cups and spoons and what have you, just to make sure, because that's the way they're communicating through their senses. As far as, for example, a toddler, we would be expecting there's strategies like, for example, parallel talk. Your child might be pushing a toy car, a vehicle, what do we call it, Hot Wheels car or something or other on the floor, by himself, just, playing pretend play with the cars and vehicles and whatever else he has. And so instead of just letting him sit there, looking at it and seeing it, you could say, "Oh, Bobby, I like the way you're pushing the car. Your car has 4 wheels. It's going to go really fast." So you're providing that language, and you can describe the car, the different descriptors of the vehicle itself, and talk about other vehicles that go fast or slow. So you see, so that's the parallel talk, just communicating while they're playing. Also self-talk, say for example, Katie is in the kitchen and the doorbell's ringing. Instead of just going to get the doorbell, this is called self-talk. where you could say, oh, the doorbell's ringing. I'm going to answer that. Oh, the dog is so hungry. I think I'm going to put some food in his bowl, just so they understand that words go with objects and events. And then also, talking at a level that your child is at, and then speaking clearly and slowly. And then, of course, removing all distractions when you're communicating with your little ones so they can understand, what you have to say and process the information so they can learn the new words. And a biggie is repeat, repeat, repeat. Little kids need to hear and do things repetitively to get these words in a repertoire. So, if you're talking about a game or jump roping or something, just make sure you say, we're jumping up and down, we're jumping over and in, just exploding those words, making the children understand these words. I'm doing a lesson right now with the kids after school and in school. We're doing Arctic animals, polar bears, walruses, whales, what else? Seals, penguins. I think if I have to say it once more, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I've said it we've been doing it for the month. But the kids, they're using words like insulation, traction. These are kindergartners. And then the preschoolers, blubber, North Pole, Arctic Ocean. And it's all because, I'm exposing them to the language. They're repeating it back to me. We're building the phrases, the sentences. And then before you know it, they got it. And you see that light bulb look on there. Aha, I got it. And they're smiling and they can act out the animals. So again, repeat, repeat, repeat. And talk. And, don't be afraid to use 2 and 3 syllable words with your kids. As long as if they have trouble producing it, stop and model it at a slower rate. These kids, they're sponges and they want to learn. They really, really want to learn. And they're really inquisitive. So just take the time to listen to them and respond. So those are probably the biggies.
Have you noticed a difference in the socioeconomic range for children? I guess I can put it this way. Is it harder for low-income children than it is for higher middle class and wealthy families? Is it more difficult for those children
to acquire language? Okay, so
to acquire proper language, maybe that's
okay. So the majority, I shouldn't say all of the kids on my caseload at my school, and then of course after school, have to qualify to get speech language services, speech therapy services, and so they do have communication delays. But there's all kinds of different factors that affect their ability to learn, but they can learn. So they're already, a little bit behind because, they didn't have the exposure or experiences between that birth and 5. I can't assume everything, but something didn't happen between birth and 5. So when they come to me, each child is different. But so let's say, for example, with after school, they might come in at 2 years old. They're supposed to have at least 50 to 200 words. And generally, if I start seeing them at age 2, if it's an expressive language delay, they probably have 1 or 2 words. So it's really hard call because it could be an environmental issue. It could be a medical issue that's affecting their ability to acquire the language, or it could be genetic in that sense. But with my school job, a lot of the kids are in the lower socioeconomic status homes. So there, I believe it's environmental. Like we said, a lot of the parents may not know exactly what they're supposed to do. So the children do come in with delayed speech and language skills. But once, we start stimulating their little brains, they do catch on. I do hear a lot of the grammar issues where they're substituting, omitting verb tenses and leaving off the prepositional phrases or articles. But I'm modeling and I'm repeating and we're building on their sentences, and eventually they do get it. But it's different if you're talking, comparing a child who does have all these positive experiences with people talking to them regularly and comparing them to somebody who might not. Yes, there's a delay, but can they acquire the language? Yes, but it's all an individual basis, I would say.
Don't know which direction you want your life to take? Are you sinking deep down into the pit of uncertainties day by day? So, what's the secret to leading a happy, satisfied life? It's taking matters into your own hands. But what if the matters in question are a total blur? Art Costello's Expectation Academy course aims to tell you exactly how you can get some clarity in your life. This course can be your savior on your journey to reinventing yourself. While you certainly can't plan your whole future ahead, you can definitely control twists and turns your life takes. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for this course now at expectationacademy.com. Get a chance to broaden your horizons and add meaning to your life. That's expectationacademy.com.
One of the things that I cringe over now is in Texas, we're seeing a very large influx of California people moving to the Austin area.
Okay.
And I've noticed that some of the kids who have lived in Texas for quite a while have picked up some of the California vernacular. Like they don't say, like when they say the word mountain, they don't say, they say mountain.
Say it again.
Mountain.
Mountain.
They don't say mountain.
Okay.
You know, like mountain, you have a mountain to climb. They say mountain. Or if they say thank you, it goes thank you. It goes, they elongate the U. Thank you.
Oh.
It's really weird. And, you know, I don't know how much you watch TV. I'm not a TV watcher, but I occasionally see my wife watching. There's this blonde girl from California that has a very popular home rebuilding show or
I wonder if
remodeling show.
Okay.
And she really slaughters the English language with pronunciation.
Yes.
You know, and that's my concern is that we're now having, because of the effect of TV and the internet and all of this, they're altering the way that English language is spoken. And that concerns me because, you know, a mountain is a mountain.
Right.
It's not a mountain, you know. We even heard on our Austin newscast, the newscasters not pronouncing the words correctly. And we wrote to them and said, it's mountain, not mountain. You know, I can't even do it.
I know I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do tune in to the news, of course, because I want to know what's going on. And it's interesting. I find that a lot of the newscasters must have overcome some speech difficulties because I can sort of hear, because I'm tuned in to when people are talking. And if, for example, I feel like President Obama had a little whistle on his S. Whenever I heard him, I would hear a little whistle at the end of an S. And there's a gentleman on the Channel 2 News, can't think of his name right now, but I could tell that he had a little bit of a tongue thrust, but it's very exciting to know that. I know a pastor who said he was a stutterer when he was younger, that they've overcome, you know, their speech difficulty and now are in the public eye, public speaking. So that's really exciting, you know, when you hear that people might have had challenges as they were growing up. But getting back to what you were saying, yeah, I do believe that, you know, like you said, the internet, the TV watching and the video gaming and definitely takes away from communication skills and expanding on their skill base.
You know, my son actually had a speech impediment as a child. He had S's or S sounds on the end of his words, and we sent him to a speech pathologist, and they actually fixed it.
Oh, good.
He's 45 now, and he does not have it, and hasn't had it since he was probably 6 years old, 7 years old.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah, it is. It really is.
I know, because again, it definitely, once these kids, I mean, a lot of the kids that I work with, kids, when I go into kindergarten classrooms, even if they're not expected to go to speech, they want to come to speech because, like we said, we're making learning fun. So they're gaining the skill base along with, you know, play is fun theme. That's why it's exciting to work with the children.
That leads into my next thought about your book. Your book really does make it fun. What kind of feedback are you getting from parents or just general feedback?
Well, I recently sent the book in the mail to a woman in Canada, and she sent me an email she said, wow, I didn't expect a party in a package, because so I had some ducks and frogs with it along with the book, and it's very colorful. So I think the front of the cover right off the bat is very inviting because it is a rainbow of color. And, you know, all the things that little kids would want to get their hands on, the toys. But overall, the general consensus is just like you said in the beginning, that it's very practical, filled with a lot of practical advice, step-by-step format. and it's very hands-on and easy to use. It's not difficult at all. So yeah, so it's been a positive experience. I've never heard anybody once say, oh my gosh, no way with this book. But everybody I know so far, a lot of the, some of the teachers I've either sold it to or given it to, and I've given a lot of them away, because I love to give them away because it's such a useful tool. Everybody's always so happy. And it also, the thought is that people forget about the easy activities that are in the book that we've done through the years, and they forget about them, how easy it is to just begin and engage your child. So that was the point of it, just to have fun, jump in, have your child learn, and it's fun for the kids and the adults. So
yeah, after I finished reading it, I thought this would be the ideal book for every school to have many copies in, even for older children to read. I loved it.
Well, thank you.
When I got your book, I enjoyed the way you packaged it with the little ducks.
Oh, yeah.
And all that. I thought it was ingenious. I thought it was great. It made me want to engage with the book more.
Yeah, because when I go do events, I want the presentation to be fun and childlike. And then, these go to the parents. It could be a great baby shower gift. It can be just a gift for a parent in general, especially new parents, of course, a mom just having a first baby. Ideally, I would love to get these in the hospitals they give out care packages. I think it would be great even as a prenatal gift.
They would be.
So parents have an idea, because sometimes I do hear people say when they have their babies, after they leave the hospital, they're like, really, we're going home? What do we do now? I don't have children, but I've heard this theme. So I'm thinking, well, it would be great to pre-read the book to have an idea, at least the infant section. I forgot what else I was going to say. I'm sorry. There's some other thought. I forgot what I was going to say.
That happens to me all the time at my age. What do you think is the biggest takeaway parents should have from the book?
Well, I know I said this earlier, a few things that they need to know or realize that the majority of learning between birth and 5 takes place within the daily routines. So they're really the primary parent and teacher for the children from that birth to 5. So that exposure is key. And the learning is going to take place, at home, on the go, when you're visiting your relatives, you're going, on a little day trip. Just bring out the book and talk to your child. Talk, play, read. That's what it's all about. And then again, not only is your child going to acquire, the language skills, you're going to have so many memorable experiences and bonding moments with your child, which is so important. So you can look back and say, remember when? So.
Yeah. And feeding into my odd questions, here's one for you. What did you learn writing the book?
Well, I guess the biggest thing I learned also was that when we think of, for example, like middle school, high school, learning can be fun. It's not always fun. It's a little more complex and a little more disciplined, etc. But at the young age, learning can be fun. So much fun. Role playing, opening up your child's imagination, dancing, singing, playing. Yeah, I just realized that making learning fun and with the activities I do with the kids at school, along with the activities in this book, I'm always bringing out objects and figures and pictures, everything to allow them to see it, talk about it, hear it, act it out, engage them, so then they can communicate back to me. So it's so fun. It's a lot of fun just being able to create the environment to help your child learn.
Yeah. One of the things I believe that life's experiences are the greatest teachers that we have. And when we take that time to work with our children and teach and help them grow, and they see that, they feel it, I think it sticks with them the rest of their life. They become avid learners. It changes lives when you become an avid learner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Today I had a group of kids that they kind of had a little bit of a negative attitude when I went to the room to get them for speech. So as we do polar bear paws and polar bear tails, so we get in a straight line and get back to my room. And I thought to myself, if I go down to their level with the attitude that they have and, take a defensive attitude and try to shape them up that way, it's not going to work because they're already moody right now. So that we're going to step this up and energize this activity. And we had so much fun. And they went back and they told their teacher, I'm a new woman. I'm a new man. I'm so happy. So yeah, you really can transform your kids' minds by just being positive and energetic and having fun. That's what we all need to do.
Yeah, and the thing about that is that when you teach in that manner, we have teachers who are stoic and, very disciplined in they follow the plan,
right.
The teaching plan. When you bring in this new vibrant energy into learning, it really, particularly children, even with adults, I've noticed that when I speak to large groups, because my material is pretty bland and it's but when you tell the stories about expectations and how they affected my life and how they've affected lives of people that I've worked with, you can really see people's faces light up and it really starts to sink in and make an impact in them. And I think that that's probably the biggest takeaway from it all is that the engagement.
Right.
The engagement is so important.
Yeah. And then for me also, what's rewarding is the fact that I get to not only see a child confident in their own voice, once they're beginning to master their goals and speaking skills, I also get to help change the lives of these little friends, building
Absolutely.
relationships with the child and the parent and knowing that I'm impacting their lives in a positive way is very rewarding. So day by day.
Yeah, teachers in all shapes and forms have such an impact. I can tell you my second grade teacher, and that's almost 60 some years ago, and Miss Maybe was my favorite teacher through all of my school. I can name the people that had huge impacts on me. In college, there was a professor I had, his name just went out of
That's
my
okay.
head. But I can tell you the people, Miss Maybe and Paul King, my high school social teacher, whispered 3 words in my ear one day, and it made all the difference in my life.
Well, that's good. What were the 3 words?
I believe in you.
Oh, there you go. See? Yeah, see? Those are big words.
He told me he believed in me when no one else did.
Aw.
And I had no one else believing in me.
Wow.
So it was very, very impactful.
Powerful, yes.
Yep. That's the power of teaching. It really affects it. There's no other way to put it. It affects the learner in such.
I know. I have 6th graders last week. Maybe was it early this week? Maybe we were talking, and a couple kids are being ready to be dismissed from speech. And so I said to the other 2, I said, "Are you guys ready to be dismissed?" "Never, Miss Gramlich. We want to be with you forever." I'm like, "Really?" So actually, we're doing a lesson right now, the Blizzard of '77. So, which was years ago, but it's actually the anniversary was the 28th, which was yesterday. I believe it was 43 years ago. So anyways, I'm able to use my childhood experiences with them, in relation to the articles we're reading. And again, even though they're 6th graders, we act it out. We act out the words, they're up on their hands being snowflakes and the winds and the gusts, and they just love it. So they get to use their imagination and, tying in the more complex vocabulary for their lessons. But that's what's exciting. Just, it's fun. So.
And that's the beauty of it. So, and with that being said, we're nearing our time, and I wanted to give you enough time for you to tell my audience where they can get a hold of you, where they can get the book, how they can get in contact with you, your social media accounts, and all that. Can you share all that with us?
Sure. Okay. So my official website is talkplayandread.com, and the book is available. You can order the book online at the site, and the book can also be ordered at Amazon and BarnesandNobles.com. And then I have posts on, of course, Facebook, on social media, and that would be at Talk, Play, and Read with Me, Mommy. And I also have an account at Instagram, and it's at Jo Ann Gramlich. And then I also have an account at Twitter, and it's at Jo Ann Gramlich also. So there you have it.
Yeah, what I'm going to encourage the audience. I've read the book. It's well worth you getting, whether you're a grandparent, a parent to be, or even if you're a student in school. There's so much in this that will help you learn to communicate.
And you know what else? A sibling can, let's say a 5th grader or 6th grader can read this to their little brother or sister too. Of course, a sibling could use it. And I also wanted to mention that I am presently working on Talk, Play, and Read with Me, Daddy. I'm almost done. So.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So that's cool. We got a new one coming out.
Yes. I'm trying. It was supposed to be done last summer, but I was so busy with the ebook that I just didn't have time to do it all. And I was thinking this past, around Christmas time, every time we get a break for school, like, yes, I'll pick it up again. And it just hasn't happened, but it'll come when it's supposed to come. It's like, it's 3/4 done. So it should be fun. And the point behind that book is, the mom and the dad could do the activities simultaneously together, because it's pretty similar to this book, the Talk, Play, and Read with Me, Mommy. But there are a couple extra bonus chapters of bonding activities for dad with the child. And then, of course, depending on the dynamics of the, family situation, a solo dad and, single dad could use it, or mom and dad, or, whatever the dynamic is. So it should be fun, but it does put smiles on whenever I mention it and I'm in an event and it's a male talking to me about the book. It puts a big smile on Dad's face, like, yes, I got to do this and get this done.
That's cool. That's good.
Yes.
Any parting words you have for us?
Well, I really enjoyed our conversation, and I guess all I could say is children are a lot of fun, and, keep on talking, playing, and reading with your little ones, and they will surprise you. They learn so much. They really do. They're little sponges. So enjoy them, because oh my gosh, the time, it all goes by so fast. They grow up so fast. So.
Amen to that. I know.
Yes.
It's hard to believe mine are in their 40s, and I have one that's going to be 50 this year. So, but anyway, everybody, I'm going to encourage you to go out and get Jo Ann's work and her book and connect with her. And you know where you can get a hold of me, art@expectationtherapy.com, and expectationtherapy.com is my website. And with that being said, Heather White, could you take us out of here?
Thanks for listening to the show. Drop us your comments and questions with what you want answered on the show. You can subscribe on iTunes and Binge Network. You can also get more information on the website, expectationtherapy.com.